Hey guys, my name is Josh. Today I'm going to show you how to weather a BC rail unit. This is a Rapido -840-CM. So it's a pretty simple unit to take apart. We're going to go and start off by removing the windows and then reassembling it so that we can weather the entire engine as a whole. And then you can tape over the windows. However, I just prefer to go and take them out. It just saves a lot of time, and you also don't have to worry about, run over from masking. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is just remove the handrails up here. Should pop out pretty easily. Same with the ones in the back here. And then I'm going to do this for the other side as well. So the handrails are removed, we're going to go ahead and flip the engine over here. And then to take off the shell, it's pretty simple. You just kind of pull out on the outsides of the shell here. Do the same on the other side. You unhook those tabs and simply pull the shell off like that. Now with the shell here, I'm just going to pull out the interior. It just takes a little bit of pressure to get out. And then these, the window inserts, simply pull out as little tabs right there. Again, we're going to put all of this inside of our little parts box down here. And if you're using pliers like I am, just make sure you don't scratch the windows. So if you have, ridges on your pliers here, just make sure that you're careful with those. You can try to pull out the headlight. However, I'm just going to mask over that. It's glued in. I don't want to risk breaking that plastic piece. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and put the shell back on the model, and we'll go from there. And then to reinstall the shell here, it's pretty simple. You just slide it back on. Make sure no wires are in the way, and click it back into place. So we've got the paint booth set up here. We're going to go ahead and test it out here. This is just an old junk piece. If you find these at train shows, they're great to pick up because you can practice on, make sure you get the flow and the paint right before you go ahead and paint a model. So that's what this is. These are just leftover from projects, just plastic to practice on. And what I use is a Posh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, maybe it's Poche, you can correct me if I'm wrong, sorry if I sound dumb, but this is a single action external mix siphon fed airbrush, and like I said, it's made by Posh, or however you pronounce it. So that's the kind of airbrush we use here, and then I'm just using some Testors paint, which I've already pre-mixed. This is for fading. It's about 50% paint to about 50% paint thinner, so it gives you a nice almost milky, almost watery consistency, which is what you want if you're fading, because you want to get that very fine mist. And then I've got my outlet pressure set to 25 PSI, pounds per square inch, for the air compressor. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the paint booth here. Like I said, this is well ventilated. I've stirred my paint. And the key here is to do really light passes. You don't want to go too much too fast. With airbrushing, it's always easier to add more. It's nearly impossible to take stuff off without completely ruining what you've added. So this might blow around a little bit. But you can see already I've got a really fine mist. That's exactly what I want. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start here with the locomotive. This is just something I always do. I always start in the back. I don't plan on messing up, but by the off chance I do, the back of the engine is the least important to me. And if I'm going to mess up, I'd rather it be here. So I always start on the bottom back. It's really the least noticeable part of the engine, and then I kind of make my way around there. So like I said, I don't expect to mess up, and fingers crossed, it hasn't happened yet, but if it is going to happen, this is where I want it to happen. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to go and do here is give it a clear coat. We're back the next day, so the fading has all dried. Everything I've applied is all dry to the touch now. However, with this clear coat, what it's going to do is go ahead and seal that in, so that in the next step I can apply more paints and remove them. Because if I weren't to do this, there's a possibility that I would remove some of the fading which I had already applied. So this gives it a nice clear coat, and what I use here is just Krylon Matte Finish. The product number is 1311, and it works great. You know, you can buy the modeling stuff from testers. It's a lot more expensive, and honestly this works just as well and gives me great results every time. So as you can see there, the trick to that is really applying several light coats instead of one heavy coat. It just applies better, and it gives it a lot better finish. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and work on the shell itself a little bit here. Now I don't need to go ahead and apply any of the grime that I'm about to do to the underframe here, so I'm actually going to take the shell off again. And at this point the clear coat is dried, so there's no handling worries. And we'll just go ahead and set this aside, and we'll come back to this later. I'm also going to go ahead and remove these little handrails here. It's just going to make it a little bit easier to apply some of the grime, which I'm about to show you guys. Alright, so the next thing we're going to go ahead and do here is apply a little bit of grime to the shell here. So it's just going to fill in some of the cracks and give it a really neat effect. I do this to a lot of my engines. It's really easy. It just looks kind of bad at first. So just trust me and bear with me here until you see the finest results, or to the finished results, excuse me. So what I'm using here is some AIM weathering powders. This is just black. And I'm going to get some on my brush here, and then dip off the extras here in the lid. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and try to cover as much of this as I can. Next thing I'm going to go and do is just take a little bit of a crinkled up paper towel here, dip it in a little bit of water, which I have right here. Dry it off so it's really just damp. I don't want it wet or dripping or anything like that. So I just dry it off by dabbing it on another paper towel. And I'm just going to wipe it off. And what it's going to do is leave a little bit of residue behind and kind of fill in some of the cracks and give it a neat effect there. And then, as always with all weathering, you always want to make any of the final streaks or movements that you do, you want them to be vertical instead of horizontal, because that's how, you know, the water will wash off the locomotive. It'll always be in a vertical pattern. You're never going to have rust streaks or anything like that going horizontal. So that's something to just keep in mind as you're weathering locomotives and cars. And whenever your paper towel starts to kind of lose some of its integrity and fall apart, you can just get a new one, dip it in a little bit of water, and then dab some of the water off. You can see I just changed the paper towel there. What that is just going to keep any, you know, stuff that's fallen off, any of the weathering powders that's fallen off the model and onto the paper towel from, you know, messing up the opposite side of the locomotive, which I haven't clear coated yet. And again, you kind of just want to make sure that you blend the roof into the side here, so don't do one part and forget about the other. clear coat here. Alright, and the last thing we're going to do over here is just add a little bit of black over around the smokestack up here. Alright, so one thing we're going to do here is just make it look like this decal peeled off. If you look at a lot of the prototype pictures you'll notice the same thing happened here. Alright, so everything's dried up. We're over here at the paint booth, and we're just going to go ahead and add a little bit of brown here to the underside, and it's going to get a little bit of weathering and dirt and grime here to the underframe. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do, now that my paint has dried down here on the bottom, is go ahead and apply a little bit of a rusting pattern to the fuel tank. If you look at the pictures, that's the way it actually looks. And so what I haven't done here is clear coated it yet. And the reason for that is because I'm actually going to remove some of the paint. So once I remove the amount that I want, I'm going to let it dry. And then I'm going to go back and add a clear coat so we can continue weathering on top of this. I'm dry brushing here. Well, kind of the opposite, but I'm dabbing off the majority of the paint thinner so that I don't soak it and remove everything with the brush. Because ideally I want to remove it with the sandpaper to give it that neat kind of effect. So I'm just applying the paint really to where I want to remove. And then I'm going to come back . And one other thing I'm going to do while I'm here is go ahead and just apply a little bit of weathering powders to kind of the underframe here, or the sill of the locomotive. So for this, I'm just using AIM black weathering powder. Alright, so now that I've got the black on the sill, I'm going to go ahead and give it a clear coat, and now that this is really dried as well too. Alright, so I went ahead and clear coated it, and one thing that really makes weathering stand out is to add layers, and layers of different colors. So as you can see here, I kind of went off of some prototype pictures I saw, so I got a nice base layer of a light brown there that I went ahead and applied to the trucks like you just saw me do. And now I'm going to go back with a little bit of black weathering powder. Again, this is AIM weathering powders. It's the grimy black color, and I've got a little brush here, and I'm just going to go ahead and apply it to the rest of the fuel tank. Next, what we're going to go ahead and do, now that we got the fuel tank taken care of, I went ahead and gave that another clear coat and didn't show that to you guys just because it's basically the same thing in steps that I've used in the previous steps. So what I'm going to go and do is now just apply a wash to the trucks here, and what this is going to do is really allow the black to soak into the cracks and really give the trucks a nice looking detail and real nice look to them. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do here. I have some Model Master Black. It's an enamel paint, so I'm going to use it and I'm going to thin it down with some paint thinner. So I'm just going to get some paint on my brush here, set it down there into the bottom of my little paint mixing tray. What this is actually is just a cap from a spray paint canister. And then to thin it out, I'm going to take again some paint thinner and just drip a little bit in there. Alright, so to apply the wash here, what I'm going to do is just dip my brush. And you can see it really is like the consistency of water. And I can just dab it all over the trucks here. And it's going to give it a real neat effect by soaking into the cracks. And because we've clear coated it, the stuff that I use, the matte finish by Krylon, is pretty thick, so you don't have to worry about removing any of the previous paint. However, if I were to do this without clear coating it, it would totally soak up a lot of the stuff that I did previously. Alright, so I went ahead and finished just putting on some safety stripes. I gave everything one last clear coat. You already saw me do that, so I don't need to show you again just because it's repetitive. So I have my parts bag here. I'm just going to go ahead and reinstall the parts in the exact opposite order that you saw me take them out. And that being said, I'll show you guys the finished results once we're done. Alright guys, so here's the engine all fired up. I know it's a little bit loud, but you can see I got the double ditch lights on there. We got the yellow safety stripe on. Again, I know I didn't show you how to do that. I'll save that for another video, but basically all I did is just take some 3M tape, which is reflective. It's got a sticky-sided back to it. Cut it into strips and applied it to the locomotive. But everything like you see here, everything else I went ahead and showed you guys. That's how you do it. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to get back to you. Well guys, here's a look at the other side. Before I let you go, like I said, I'm more than happy to help you out with anything you might have a question about. And good luck. These techniques work on a lot of different locomotives. They work on a lot of different road names and locomotive types. So don't be afraid to try it. And just remember that practice makes perfect. So thanks guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.